Hey everyone, I'm Mind, and this is set number 71765, Ninja Ultra Combo Mech from the LEGO Ninjago theme. This set contains 1,104 pieces, 7 minifigures, and retails for $89.99 in the US. The Ultra Combo Mech is inherently a really cool and unique idea for a set. For those of you who don't know what's up with this set is 4 distinct separate vehicles, one for each of the original Ninja, and they all combine together to make one giant mech that the 4 of them can pilot together. And that is such a fun and creative idea that I absolutely love. And I have to say, they pull it off pretty well. I do have my criticisms of the set, which you will see as I go through this review, but overall, I just love how bold this concept is. The idea of a mech made up of different vehicles that are combined is such a fun idea that's been used in like cartoons and anime and whatnot. So it's so cool to see something like that in Ninjago and also in a physical toy. And I'm very impressed by how well they pulled it off. And I also really appreciate how there is actually seating for all 4 of the Ninja in here, as well as the Woobot, so that's a 5th seat. To talk about some negatives from the wide view though, because this is a combination mech, it does lack a little bit in posability. Just like most mechs of a similar size, this thing is very heavy, so with like a slight push or something it will topple over. However, because it isn't one solid sturdy build like others are, it is prone to fall apart a little bit. Personally, I've experienced from knocking it over accidentally, the Zane legs will fall off pretty easily. So while it's a little disappointing that that happens, I understand why it does, because I don't know how they could keep the ability to like separate this into different parts and also have it really like stable. So because it's meant to be taken apart, it makes sense it'd be very easy for it to fall apart too. But because this is so big, you do just have to be careful when like moving it around and posing it. But you can see, like I have right here, you can get some decent action poses. No knees or anything on this guy, so you can't bend the legs too much, but you can bend them out, as you can see right there, and you can move the feet. The big arms are on hinges, the small arms are on hinges. Yeah, there's actually a decent number of things you can do here. The range of motion just for a mech is about average, but for a mech with all these features on it, I think it's actually pretty impressive. So the poses can be a bit limiting in some ways. I was trying to get this guy to walking pose and that just wasn't working at all. It doesn't really seem like there's a way to do that without him toppling over. However, like look at this. This has a ton of personality to that, and that's a pose you can get this guy in. He's still balanced. So I think all that's fine for what it is. But I'm not sure if there's anything else I have to show you on this guy from this far away, so now let me move you up a little closer and show you like each individual detail of this mech. So starting at the legs of the mech, you'll see these up even closer when I like take the entire thing apart to show you the different individual vehicles. But this is just showing you how they actually look on the mech. The legs here are piloted by Zane. You can see they have like an icy aesthetic going on with all these like pointed pieces. There's some sticker pieces on the toes of the mech. Treads around the side which serve as the wheels to the vehicle when the thing's actually separated. In the left leg, this is where you can actually sit Zane if you want. Just flip open that windscreen like you just saw, and Zane can fit right in there. Now he is unfortunately going to be looking down most of the time, but you can lean him back, put his arms down, and then fold this back up around him. And there you go, now Zane's actually in the mech. On the other shin, there's another seat, and this is actually where you can fit the Woobot if you want. You just take him and sit him in here, just like you said, Zane. And again, he's looking down, so it doesn't really make the most sense. However, I don't know, you can imagine that like if the mech is delivering kicks, the Woobot could come out and shoot. That's kind of a funny or fun idea. I could see that being fun to play with. But yeah, when the mech's standing up straight, my man's just looking directly down. I think that's about all I have to say on the Zane part of the vehicle for now, so now let me move up a little bit. At the very top of the Zane vehicle, you have these black knee pads. These sort of serve as a transition from the Zane part of the mech to the Kai part of the mech. The Kai vehicle in the set is also a mech, it's just a smaller version of this mech than the full thing. So the way it combines with the Zane legs is really interesting. They have this whole like knee connection system that they kind of have you just snap open, and instead of connecting this part of the lower leg to the upper leg, you connect both parts to part of Zane's mech, and I think that's effective. However, it creates these odd things out the back. These are the rest of the legs of Kai's mech. These are like the shins, and then these are the feet up here. And they're still in ball joints and everything, right? They're still functional as feet. So I do have to say, those are probably my least favorite part of this build. They just jut out a little bit too much. They have these orange circular discs on them, so I guess you could imagine them as like thrusters or something. But they just protrude out so far compared to the rest of the mech. I just don't think it's the best look. It kind of looks like he has butt cheeks sticking out, which is, I don't know how to feel about that one. It makes sense though why they did this, and I couldn't think of a better way to still incorporate these into the build. It just looks a little funny on the final version. Coming back around the front though, now looking at the center of the mech, I really like this golden blade design with these teeth on it. I think that looks super cool. You can also see those 2 tiny arms on the Kai mech right here. These are on ball joints with hinges for the elbows and rotating hands. And in one of the hands, the sword is actually held, so you can use that as a weapon. And then we're going to have to get into the J vehicle a little bit, but let me show you where you can actually put Kai into the mech. So you have this part of the J vehicle right here that comes down to cover up the cockpit of the Kai mech. But to actually get Kai into the build, you have to open that up. There's another windshield piece on the inside here. You have to move that up too. Place Kai inside. That part can actually be a little bit difficult to do sometimes because he has to get pretty deep in there and there's a lot of stuff blocking you. But yeah, you are still able to get him in there, and then you have to close this back around him, close this back around that, and there you go. You can't really tell, but Kai is actually now in there piloting the vehicle. The only difference with him in there and him out of there that it really makes is the blue part of the front doesn't come down as far with Kai in there, but it's still pretty close so it doesn't feel like it's not closed up, and like you cannot see Kai at all. While we're up here, I guess we can take a look at the J portion of the vehicle. The J portion is probably the smallest portion of the vehicle, but also maybe the most important. So you have the head of the mech right here. It's got the golden ring around it, and then the actual head reminds me a lot of like Optimus Prime from Transformers. I don't know if that was an intentional reference or just a coincidence because that matches J's color scheme. But regardless, it's got a cute little robot face up there. I think it's kind of funny how small that is compared to the rest of the mech. But I think it works surprisingly well. The shoulder blades of the mech also belong to Jay. They go on top of Cole's arms. And you can see, of course, there's two of them, one on each side. And then the rest of Jay's vehicle actually goes on the back of the mech. Jay's part of the vehicle is what actually holds up the Teamwork banners in this set. I believe this is the only set to come with two Teamwork banners instead of one, but they're exactly identical to each other. Still very cool printed parts. Got the shuriken in the middle with all these minifigure hands around it. I think it looks really nice. And here's the place for Jay to sit in the back. You can move this windshield piece up, which is the same piece that was on the other two sections that we already looked at, and you can fit him in the seat right here. Poor Jay, the guy's got the most inconvenient spot in the entire mech. I know Zane's like on the leg and I was looking at the ground, but at least he's facing forward. Jay is just looking up at the sky on the back. So it's not the best place to put him. I like that there's still ways to put all four Ninja on the mech, but I'm not sure what Jay's able to do just looking directly up. That's not a huge deal though. It's just something I found a little bit funny. And now finally let me move to the Cole part of the mech. The Cole part of the mech is these two big arms with drills coming off of them. We'll start with the left arm right here. The two are mostly identical. They have these wheels that you can spin, as well as, of course, the drill at the front, which also spins. But the left arm in particular has a stickered piece with like this earth effect on it, and I think that looks pretty cool. It's almost like that's the power that's charging up the mech. I do like these arms. The only thing I don't like about them is the front-facing portion of them, because the part of the arms that's supposed to face forward, that's facing forward on the box and whatnot, it's just all these open technicals with these Technic pins, and that just looks really ugly to me. I understand why they're there so you can combine like the Cole part of the vehicle together, and that makes sense. But I don't know, that doesn't feel like it works that well on the outside of the arms. Like with Zane's part of the vehicle, he had the exact same thing, but it was on the inside of the legs, so it was very hard to notice. But this is very obvious, so yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. But if it bothers you, you could very easily customize that. Or you could literally just turn this thing around, which looks okay, but then the inside's really detailed, and then the outside looks like that. So unfortunately, there's no good way to do it without customizing it, but it's not a huge deal, it's just something I wanted to point out. On the other Cole arm, everything's exactly the same, except instead of that sticker piece in the middle, you actually have the cockpit for Cole to sit in. This one works just like all the other ones. Flip this piece up, put him in right there, close it back up around him, and there you go. There's how he looks actually in the arm of the mech. And there you go, there's a look at the mech with all the Ninja actually in it. And look at that, I actually managed to get it into a somewhat decent walking pose. He looks like he might be having a few back problems, but that's okay, don't worry about that. Unfortunately, the only Ninja you can actually see from the front are Cole and Zane, but I think that's okay. They're all on there, you're able to store them all on there, and just that alone I think is really cool. So as a whole, as a complete mech, I do really like this. If it didn't have the separatable, combinable aspect, there would be things about this I wouldn't like, for example, the technicals on the side of Cole's thing, even the technicals on the side of Zane's thing. But considering what else this mech can do, I don't really mind that. This looks really good, it's really creative. I love that it's a vehicle for all four of the original Ninja. Much better than the Ultrasonic Raider from last year. Yeah, this build is really solid when it's all put together. But of course, that is not the only thing this build can do, so now let me show you how it comes apart, and then we'll take a look at each individual vehicle for each individual Ninja. So I'll start by taking off the J parts of this vehicle. The two shoulder blades just pop off really easily. They're just held on by bars on clips. Then you can flip the head back, flip this piece back, and then remove the entire J section on the back of the build. With even just that removed, this thing looks a lot different. But now let's take the Cole arms off of the mech. For this one you pull on these trans orange pieces on the back, and that will take the arms off. And now we are almost done. It just sort of looks right now like Kai didn't skip leg day. But here, now I can show you with the knees, what I was talking about earlier. So if I flip this up, you can see these clips back here and these clips down here. Just pull the Zane vehicle off of those, and then reconnect these bars to these clips. And then just flip that foot piece back around, and there you go, there's Kai's foot back. So when you're doing it the other way around, you actually want to put Zane's vehicle onto the Kai mech, you kind of just have to break Kai's legs, poor guy. But yeah, of course you have to do that on the other side too. But there you go, there's Kai's mech fully separated. And on its own, this thing looks pretty cool, I like it. It's just a Kai mech, which we've gotten before, heck, we even get another one in this wave. But it's a pretty solid looking one overall. The feet on this one are a little bit weird. They're definitely a little small compared to the rest of the mech, however, that makes sense considering like what you have to do with the feet when the entire mech's combined. You wouldn't want them to be too big, or else it would take up a lot more space, because already the space they take up feels like too much. But yeah, when everything's separated, they do look a little funny. There's those thrusters at the back that we already saw. The upper and lower parts of the leg are actually really detailed. Lots of different curved and slope pieces to create texture. I like the Next Night shields out the front. I like the new SCCBS armor piece right here. Really cool to get all that, and it looks really good. At the waist, it uses rigid Technic joints, so it's the new rigid Technic joint system that I first saw with the Macaque mech from Lego Monkey Kid. But yeah, it's really interesting how it's done. It's like two joints on one piece, and it connects onto like one of these circular rotation Technic pieces. I'm not sure what these are called, but yeah, it connects into one of these, and it creates really nice looking joints. But thanks to this, you're able to kick a leg back, kick a leg forward, or move it out ever so slightly, though it blocks you from going any more than one notch. So while the range of motion is a little bit limited with this guy, it still looks pretty good for what you got. Torso is exactly the same as on the Big Mac, of course. Without the J shoulder pads, though, you can see now instead there's these black shoulder pads up here. And those are meant to sort of cover up this Technic piece right here, which is where the Cole arm's attached to. Because if this was just exposed, it would look kind of ugly. But with the shoulder pads covered up, it doesn't look bad. Back of the mech, I will say very, very pretty for a back of the mech. The backs of mechs are usually quite ugly, and even though this does get covered up by the J vehicle, it looks really good even without it. And you can see those clips are where the J vehicle attaches to. The arms, as I mentioned earlier, on ball joints, and there's hinges down here. Sticker designs on the arm that has the letter K written in the Ninjago language right there for Kai. And the hands on this thing are really funny looking. I'm not sure why they're so simple, but they are really, really simple. This one does not look good with that blue Technic pin sticking out. That's so that you can hold the sword, but the sword isn't normally held in that hand. So if you're not planning on switching like the hand that the sword's being held in, I'd recommend switching that for just a too wide Technic pin, a black one, because I think that would definitely look a lot better. Because the hand looks weird like this. It just does. It looks really weird. The other arm is mostly identical, slightly different stickered piece. And of course, it is actually holding the sword in its hand. This can be removed, so you can move it to the other hand if you want. And there's how that looks completely removed. You can see it just connects with the Technic pin to the hand. It kind of feels like Kai himself is sitting pretty deep inside the mech without the rest of the armor on, which does look a little bit funny, but it's not bad and it works well enough. But you can see in there's a printed console piece, two bright orange like little knobs, and with him removed, there's the place for him to sit. But that's about all I have to say for the Kai mech. Definitely one of the best looking of the like separated builds. The hands and feet look a little weird. The feet I understand. The hands I don't really understand. Wish they looked a little better, but again, that should be very easy to customize. Kai sits a little deep in the vehicle, but that's fine. But as a whole, I think this is very solid. If they release this like as a set on its own, I think I'd still be pretty happy with it. And considering it serves as like the middle part to the huge mech, yeah, this is awesome. Now let's take a look at the Zane vehicle. This one's very easy to put together. If you take a look at the right leg, there's Technic pins on the side. So just make sure you have the feet turned all the way in, and then you can push these together. Next, you gotta hinge the feet at the very front downward. And there's nothing else to it. Now you have a cute little Zane vehicle. This one's my favorite of the transformations in the entire set. Zane is my favorite ninja, so I might be a little bit biased. However, I think this is the most solid standalone build. The rest feel like a little bit off, at least. Even Kai's, which is really good, the hands and the feet feel a little bit off. But if this was a set on its own, I wouldn't question it. It looks really good. I love how it has the two seats, one for Woobot, one for Zane, and they can actually look forward now. Speaking of which, if you want, you can move this up and have Zane sitting up a little closer now. It's got the treads on the side, which is a really cool touch. And then the knee pads are now like energy pods out the back. Yeah, I really love this one. Part of me is tempted to not have the mech together, just to have this thing together, because I really love how it looks. But of course I'm going to keep the mech together, because the mech is really, really cool. I don't have a ton to say about this one. I just think it's awesome. Like, genuinely really well done. I love, like, the spikes at the front from the feet. Really unique shaping, really fun build. And works outside of the mech. Here's a quick look at the cockpit area for Zane. There's just a tan seat with a little console on the side. And then if we look at where the Woobot sits, it's very similar, just no printed console or anything anywhere. I think that's about all I have to say on this one, though. Overall, just very, very well done. I'm a big fan. Now let's move on to the slightly weaker ones. We'll start with Cole's. So to transform this one, make sure you have both the wheels out facing the same way. Have these rigid Technic joints at the end facing up and away. Do the same exact thing with the other arm. And then just connect the two parts with these Technic pins in the middle. There is Cole's vehicle, and I think it looks okay. It looks pretty decent from the front. Two drills is a little bit weird, but hey, it's unique. I kind of like that. But the back is where it really falls apart. It's just big and gappy in the middle. Like, there's just a big hole right here. I get in, like, a mech sense why that has to happen, but as a car, it doesn't work as well as a standalone thing. From, like, here up, it's really nice, but the entire back area feels very weak. I do like the two drills, though. I like the golden spikes coming out of the wheels. Very easy for this thing to roll along the ground. These clips back here are used to connect the armor from the J part of the vehicle. However, when it's separated, you can use them to hold weapons instead, which is a pretty cool option. But yeah, just like Zane's, not a ton to say on this one. It's kind of just a basic looking car. There's a look at that stickered piece again, maybe up a little bit closer. It is really nice looking. And I kind of like how it's pulsing on this side and then it's like this energy charging up on the other side. Two stickers in the back. I assume that right there is the symbol for C in the Ninjago language, standing for Cole. Oh, and I guess I forgot to point it out on Zane's vehicle, but these stickered, like, circular tiles are used on pretty much all of the different vehicles. So that's a cool bit of consistency between them. And here's what Cole's seating area looks like. Just another one of those console pieces. And then finally, J is very simple. There's ball sockets, there's ball joints. You connect them together. You can move the flags back if you want. Move the ring on like the robot forehead down. And move this piece at the very front up. And then you kind of have like a little flyer or plane for J. This is, in my opinion, definitely the weakest one. Cole's looks gappy, but at least it looks good from the front. This, like, I could see it as a flyer, but I kind of have a hard time with it. Definitely not the best looking, however, it's fine for what it is. The wings, of course, are in ball joints, so you can move them around if you want. You have a little thruster out the back. These bar pieces right here are where this connects to the back of the mech, as well as on the wings, these bar pieces are where it connects to the shoulders of, like, the Cole arms. And again, if we want to look at the cockpit, if we remove J, it just has two more of those same printed console pieces. Yeah, it's fine for what it is. Definitely my least favorite one, but I don't really have too much else to say on it. It makes sense why it is the way it is, and it works really well when combined with the mech, but on its own, not very strong. So here's the side build in the set. It's this little vehicle for the snakes, and this is a really interesting one. I'm not sure exactly what it's supposed to be. It's like this quadrupedal little mech for them. I initially interpreted this as like a little dog mech. I've had some people suggest that it could be more frog-like with like the way the legs sit. But it's very, very strange looking. It's not what I would have expected. That being said, it is probably my favorite of all the different villain side builds in the Evo sets, because it just seems like so much fun. The way it sits on the ground is a little bit funny. Like, there's nothing that goes flat against the ground, but because it has 4 legs, it stays pretty stable. And of course, each of the legs are on mini ball joints, so you can move them if you want. So if you want to have it like leaping through the air, you can. Or if you want it in more of like a walking position, that's possible too. It is a little bit difficult to balance, but you can definitely get it, and you can see once I have it balanced, it's pretty decent. And another kind of funny option is you can have it just stand up on its hind legs if you want. It's not balanced at all this way, very easy for it to topple over. Definitely not the intended purpose of this, but it's just another funny option. Yeah, I really like this thing overall. It just feels very, very unique to me. It uses the new SCCBS like mech cockpit piece at the front right here, and you can open that up. And that's where you can actually put a snake character inside to pilot the vehicle. And it just looks so funny to have him in there like that. Like, look at him. That's great. There's the all-new 2022 stud shooters on the side in gunmetal gray. Of course, you can push down on the top to shoot them out. The projectile included for these are trans-orange circular tiles, and there's one of those cannons on each side of it. The entire cannon section on the sides can be rotated out as well, which is a little bit interesting. It just reveals this gunmetal gray armor piece underneath, and I don't think it looks great with them open, but it's an option you have. But having it all hinged up to have it closed up actually looks pretty nice. So as a whole, I'm kind of at a loss for words as to what to say about this vehicle, just because it's so strange. But I absolutely love it for this reason. This is amazing, it's fun to play with, and looks so, so funny. This is everything I could ever want. The set's already amazing, this is just a fun extra, but it's a really, really nice one. Love it. Now moving to the minifigures, here are the first two in this set. We have Core Kai and Core Zane. These are two of my favorite core suits of this line. I think they're both really, really good. Core Kai, I really love the bright orange on him. That's always been one of my favorite colors on him, but he's never used it too much, never actually on plastic, only on printing before. So it's really cool to see it actually molded into his hood and on one of his arms. But the torso design's really nice too. I like the flame effect on the side. These like tan wraps beneath his robes look really good, and the transition from like the red of the torso into the dark orange of the legs works surprisingly well. He has a little symbol on his legs, which is the letter K written in the Ninjago language, obviously for his name, Kai. And I even like the dark red used in the ropes around his legs. Yeah, this is a very, very solid looking ninja suit. The more time I have with it, the more I like it. Zane, though, is definitely my favorite of this wave. He is nearly perfect in pretty much every way. The bright blue on his mask is fantastic. I absolutely love that. That's so much better than the gray he's had previously. You can see his chest poking out and his torso and sprinkled in metallic silver, and that looks fantastic. And you can see his heart and everything. I absolutely love that. The blue ice crystals is a really cool design, and I love how vibrant they look on top of the white. And the tan of the legs is definitely my least favorite part about this figure. It just feels a little bit out of place, so I'm not the biggest fan of that part. But the blue on the legs does look pretty cool. And you can see similarly to Kai, Zane has the symbol for Z on his legs. Because obviously his name is Zane, that's the first initial of his name. But yeah, this guy is easily my favorite core suit of this wave. I absolutely love it. Turning these guys around real quick, you can see they both have armor pieces around their back as well as 2 katanas. Every ninja this wave comes with a katana to match one of their colors. For most of the ninja, it's their secondary color. Like you can see, Zane has a blue katana to match the blue of his outfit. However, they gave Kai a red katana. That's a little bit disappointing. A bright orange katana would have been really, really cool. But the red katana is still very, very nice. We've gotten it before, I believe, in Sons of Garmadon, but it's cool to get it again, and it's cool for Kai to have a katana, like, specifically meant for him. Speaking of which, they also come with weapons aside from their katanas. Zane comes with 2 silver shurikens. Those are pretty common, but if you don't have them yet, that's a pretty cool way to get them. And Kai just comes with a golden katana, so he's a total of 2 different katanas, one gold and one red. At first, I felt like that was a bit redundant because all the ninja come with katanas, so why does Kai come with a second one? However, we've seen in the show and whatnot, he's used 2 katanas in the past, so you can just dual wield these. And I think that's a fun concept, so I don't mind the golden katana here. Here are both of these minifigures with their masks removed. And here's the back torso prints of both of them, as well as the back head print on Zane and the alternate face on Kai. Back torso print on Kai looks fantastic. I love how this fire swirls around this symbol in the middle. This symbol in the middle is on every ninja suit this wave. It says the word ninja written in the Ninjago language. And of course you can see that same symbol in Zane's right here. I like how the ice shards on his back come together and make like a little triangle. That's really cool looking. Yeah, I don't really have complaints with either of these. 2 very, very solid figures. Now coming to the other 2 ninja in this set, we have Core J and Core Cole. Core J is another really unique one. He uses this bright yellow color, which he's never used before in the past, but it looks absolutely fantastic, so unique. And I like how he has it on the one arm, too. The lightning design of his torso looks really good. His initials right here on his chest instead of on his leg. And then his legs are actually in sand blue, which is another new color for him, but I think it actually works pretty well. This is probably the most unique J suit we've ever gotten, but I'm a pretty big fan of it. And then Cole, I am so mixed on Cole. Sometimes I like him, sometimes not as much. From, like, the torso up, I think he is absolutely fantastic, like, near perfect. I think it's cool how it looks like he has maybe, like, armor plating beneath his robes, and it looks fantastic in the orange. And this Rocky effect on the side looks great, too. The seasonal mask without any printing on the hood is surprisingly nice looking as well. And, of course, he has that same initial that the rest of them have, though this time it's a C for Cole. However, my main criticism of this figure comes in with the legs. The dark tan for the legs just doesn't really mesh that well for me. Sometimes I look at it and I don't mind it as much, but other times, yeah, it doesn't just fit with the black too well. Maybe a gray would have been better? I'm not sure, but dark tan just feels too stark of a contrast. Especially, like, if you look at this guy from the side, like, that doesn't look like it's one cohesive ninja suit. The printing they did to aid the transition is alright, but yeah, definitely could be better. I'm just not the biggest fan of that. Torso went up, absolutely perfect, probably one of my favorite Cole suits of all time, but those legs do kinda kill it for me. I still like the suit overall, but they definitely could be better. Just like Kai and Zane, these two also come with katanas to match their colors. Jay's is a light yellow katana, which is an all-new color for this wave, and it's really fantastic. I absolutely love that one. And Cole's is orange, which I believe was originally introduced in Prime Empire, but it's cool to get it again and it fits him really well. And then in terms of non-katana accessories, Jay comes with nunchucks. Very simple nunchuck build, just lightsaber hilts with the chain between them. And I'm happy to see Jay with nunchucks again, because I feel like that's his most iconic weapon, but he hasn't had them in sets in a while, outside of, like, Legacy. So yeah, I think that fits him really well. And then Cole comes with a hammer build for his weapon. This is different than the hammer build that comes in the other set that Cole comes in, the Giant Temple. So it's cool to see there's, like, some difference between those two. And yeah, this one looks nice. No, like, super unique techniques used, but it fits Cole really well. Here are these two with their hoods, armor, and accessories removed. And there is the back torso prints and alternate faces on both of these. Again, they both have that ninja symbol, and I think the back torso prints on both of these is pretty good. I definitely prefer both Kai and Zane. But it's solid, both of these. I like how the lightning and the rocks come around. But yeah, you can see, like, the sand blue from the blue feels pretty natural, but the black to the tan, it kind of just looks like Coles and khakis. It doesn't really work for me. That's just personal preference, though. I could see how some people might disagree with that. And then here are the two villains in this set. We have a Mango Whipper and a Geo Whipper, also known as a Cobra Mechanic and a Boa Destructor. Mango Whipper does not come with any back attachment in this set, which is a little surprising because he has one in pretty much every other set he's in. So that's a little disappointing to see, because it is cool to see, like, the different back attachments they give him. However, he does get a full mech to control, so I guess that makes sense. I've talked about him in all my other reviews, so I'm sure most of you have heard it before, but in case you haven't, as a whole, I really like this guy. The gunmetal gray beneath the orange looks pretty good. I love the reuse of the Pyro Whipper head, of course. It looks so funny. The, like, coppery aesthetic on the torso and legs is really cool too, with the little bits of teal on top of the orange. Yeah, he's a fun little snake. I like him. But then Geo Whipper. Geo Whipper is genuinely kind of cool, which I'm a little bit surprised by, because the Whipper head's inherently, like, kind of funny, right? It's supposed to be really funny. But no, that vibrant orange beneath the dark gunmetal gray creates a really cool look. Combining that with the armor and the giant gunmetal gray fist pieces, this guy genuinely looks kind of awesome. And the fact that LEGO made the Whipper head look kind of awesome, I'm very impressed by. And the fact that it's still a Whipper makes it even funnier. So yeah, this is definitely my favorite of these two villains, and genuinely one of my favorite figures of this wave. I absolutely love this guy. These two share the same leg print, but they have different torso prints. Though they are very similar, Geo Whippers just seems to be more armored. And there is the back torso prints of both of them. And there's the back torso prints of both of them, very similar, just like the scale design, though with inverted colors. Mango Whipper also has these straps around his back to, I guess, hold a back attachment. Both of these guys are very, very good minifigures. They come in almost every set this wave, but still so happy to get them. And then the final quote-unquote minifigure in this set is one of the Woobots. The Woobots are such a strange concept. These were originally introduced in Seabound, and they didn't end up appearing in the show, but I thought they were just a fun thing they made for that one set. But no, we have another Woobot in another set, which I find hilarious. And this guy is a little bit different from the Seabound one, so he has the same printed face piece of Sensei Wu's face, which looks fantastic. And he's got this minifigure leg piece with a belt and everything. However, if you turn him around the back, he's a lot bigger than the previous ones, and that's so that he can have stud shooters on top of his head. These are the newer stud shooters, of course, like I just showed you with the, like, snake vehicle. But he's got two up here, so you can launch them both out at once. And the projectiles used are these sparkly, like, circular tile pieces. This color, I believe, was originally introduced in LEGO Friends or LEGO Dots, but it's also been used in, like, Monkey Kid and Eternals last year. And it's a really, really cool color. I'm not sure why they used this color for, like, only this one part in this set. but I am certainly not complaining, and I'm sure many Ninjago fans don't have any of this color if they haven't like branched out to any other themes, so this is a nice way to get it. It's a really, really cool part, even if it is only a 1x1 circular tile. Not too much to say on the Woobot though. They're very silly and very, very fun. I absolutely love them. They feel like they're in the spirit of like classic Lego, and that's what I adore about them. So not much else to say about this guy, but I'm so happy to get a third, and I would love to see them come in more sets. They're so much fun. So, what are my overall thoughts on this set? I do really, really like this set. It may have sounded at points in this review like I was being like overly negative, but that's because this set's trying to do a lot of different things at once. It's trying to be 4 individual vehicles, it's trying to be a mech, and it's trying to be 4 individual vehicles that can combine into a mech without having to like take anything apart. And that is difficult to do, especially in LEGO and especially with like quality restrictions that LEGO's given. So while it may not have the posability and stability of some other mechs, and while the vehicles alone might not look as good as some other vehicles, the fact that all of this is here in just one set, I adore it. It's so much fun. It's something that feels like it fits in the world of LEGO perfectly, and I'm shocked we've never really gotten something like this before. I mean, I guess we kind of got it in like Voltron, but that couldn't even fit minifigures. All the minifigures in the set can fit in the mech, all the minifigures in the set can fit in their own vehicles. I really, really love this one. It's incredibly well done. So yes, 100%, I would recommend this set. If you're a fan of Ninjago or just big mechs, it's a really good one to get. The figure selection is also pretty solid. This is the cheapest way to get Core Cole, unfortunately. I hate that he's only in a $90 set and a $100 set. But yeah, if you're looking to get Core Cole for the absolute cheapest, you don't want to pay an extra $10, this is the cheapest way to get him. But I do like getting the original 4 Ninja all in one set, and the 2 Whippers are really cool too. So yeah, as a whole, I'm very satisfied with this one, and I would definitely recommend it. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please just like, subscribe if you're new. I do LEGO and Ninjago videos like this almost every day, so if you subscribe, be the first to see them. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.